on the Negro Baseball Leagues. How's everybody doing today? Hey, I typically don't come in the middle of the day, but just so happens that I had a chance to run home and do some things. So one of the things I thought I would come on today with a little midday magic. Let's see, what do I want to call this? I'm coming at different times of the day, and I never know who I'm going to catch. It seems like every time I come on at a different time, I catch different people. So, and man, we're just putting along making things happen, guys, just really making things happen. So I noticed that before I came on, we have now 771 subscribers. And guys, for some people, that's not a big number. But when you're building a baseball network, it is a good number. So I try to get people who know about baseball history, because occasionally what I would do is I will ask the question, then I'll ask my audience, who is this? Who's this person? Or can anybody help me out? Because I can't remember everything, because I do a lot of this by just simple memory. So I'm always referring to my audience, and so the people in my community, a lot of them are baseball fans, and sometimes they'll answer it like that in real time. So I appreciate that. So once again, I am trying to get past 1,000 subscribers in a year. That's simple goal, right? So we've come a long ways, and I'm going for the 780 number of subscribers, and I call that my Ichihiro number. And I get the feeling we're going to make it this week to the 780, because we're just rolling around along. And once again, my name is Phil S. Dixon, and I've completed 45 years as a Black baseball historian, Negro League historian, African American baseball historian, whatever you want to call me. I've got 45 years in the books right now, and I'm in my 46th year, which is amazing to me, right? I started when I was 23, guys. It's been quite the journey, and I can tell you some interesting things, and you would not believe what I've seen in these years, right? So anyway, coming to you live today, and I just want to come on and just give you one quick fact. If you're new to joining me, let me know where you're joining from, and actually let me know where you're joining from, and subscribe if you can. If you like what we're doing here, by all means, go ahead and subscribe and send it to someone else who might be a baseball fan, and keeps us growing, keeps you knowing, right? Okay, so I'm going to give you just one thing. So this is kind of like part one of my April the 13th, 2026 edition of This Day in Black Baseball History. So I'm going to give you a quick fact. And according to, let's go back to April 13th, 1916. According to Anthony Madden, in an article published in the New York Age. First of all, the New York Age is an African American publication, right? And I don't know how many of you know about any African American newspaper. Is there one in your town? If I was to ask you a question to name an African American newspaper that wasn't the Pittsburgh Courier, it wasn't the Chicago Defender, what would the name of that newspaper be? Can someone shoot me a name right quick? A name of an African American newspaper that's not the Defender or the Pittsburgh Courier. The Philadelphia Tribune. Actually, oh, okay, that's great. That is certainly good. I use that one quite a bit in researching Hilldale, and I have quotes from them often. Philadelphia Tribune. Yeah, matter of fact, if you hang in here, I'll give two facts. The second fact comes from the Philadelphia Tribune. How about that? Okay, so I'm going to give you the first one. So this was in the New York Age, all right? And the guy, his name was Madden. He named his all-star basketball team of 1915 and 1916, and two prominent baseball players who also played basketball were part of his top five basketball players in the whole country. So that person was Clarence Fats Jenkins, and the other one was Cumberland Composey. And so he called Jenkins one of the best all-around players in the St. Christopher's lineup. So he played for a team called the St. Christopher out of New York. Minneapolis spokesman and quarter. Thank you very much. Got somebody joining from Minnesota and Philadelphia. Hopefully, I don't know. You might not be from there. That might just be the paper that you mentioned. Actually, my hometown newspaper was the Kansas City Call, right? And I've done a lot of work with the St. Louis Argus, right? And of course, with baseball history, you got to look at the Indianapolis Freeman. Yeah, so that's a good one. So let me go ahead and give this fact right quick. So he called Jenkins one of the best all-around players on the St. Christopher's team in their lineup. He said Jenkins is superior to any man on the court. How about this? Fats Jenkins. You ever hear Fats Jenkins? Played for Harrisburg Giants, played for the New York Black Yankees. He was just a great one. And so Fats Jenkins is the one of the players he mentioned. And then he talked about Cumberland Posey, who was a baseball player first. Later, well, actually, I don't know if he was a baseball player first, but he certainly played baseball and he played basketball too. And later on, he became the owner of the Homestead Grays. Of course, he hired some really good ball players, is the leader of that team, and several of those people, including himself, are in the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. Another amazing thing is Cumberland Posey is the only baseball player, administrator, whatever, that is in Cooperstown that is also enshrined in the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Illinois, right? So he's in both those high. So when he was talking, when Madden mentioned Compose, he said, there are some who consider him the greatest basketball player, period, right? So you saw Michael Jordan playing and you've seen all the greats, if you follow basketball, but just imagine that Cumberland Posey in the 1920s or 19 teens through the 20s was that guy, right? And to look at Cumberland Posey, you wouldn't know that. Of course, he went to Holyoke University, and yeah, Cumberland Posey. So now, as promised, let me finish up with Posey. He said his great speed, together with his remarkable ability to shoot both from the field and foul line, stamps his quality. All right. Cumberland Posey, man, you got to remember some of these names. I love saying these names, guys. Excuse me there. These allergies have been getting me, boy. So I have to drink every time that I come on, right? So anyway, let's go to another one. And so I'm going to give one more. This is for the person here who mentioned the Philadelphia Tribune, right? And I'll just put it like this here. Let me straighten this out here. There was a war brewing in Philadelphia where Nat Strong and H. Walter Schlichter, they were trying to take over the territory established by Ed Bolden. And that was April the 13th, 1916. And Bolden and his associates had organized the Hilldale team, right? And they're going strong. Now, Strong, according to the Philadelphia Tribune, had his jealous eye on the Hilldale Park. And so he said that either he's going to take over that team or he's going to put a team in a park directly across the street from Hilldale, right? And Ed Bolden and his group, they didn't like that. And so he decided to write a letter to H. Walter Schlichter. Now, H. Walter Schlichter, at the turn of the century, he had the Philadelphia Giants, and that was a team in 1905. They were a powerful team. For many years, Saul White was the manager of that team. They had the legendary Rube Foster and Bill Monroe and Grant Home Run Johnson and Pete Hill, Frank Duncan, Bruce Petway, John Henry Lloyd, a lot of great players. But Schlichter he didn't pay these guys well enough, and so they left and went to other teams. And of course, he was the sports editor of the Philadelphia Evening Item. That was an African American newspaper. It was a white newspaper, a daily newspaper there in Philadelphia. So he's trying to get back into the baseball again. And so he's partnering there with Nat Strong. Nat Strong was trying to control everything, every place. And he controlled some of the most powerful black baseball teams. But Ed Bolden and those guys, they weren't going to have that. So this is what Ed Bolden said when he sent his letter. He said, I succeeded in getting the directors together and lay before them your, or rather Mr. Strong's proposition to amalgamate our corporation with him. They didn't want to do that. He said, to affiliate ourselves with other than race men, meaning African American men, would be a mark against our name that could never be eradicated. Man, that's pretty strong wording. We are personally responsible for the fame and success of Hilldale, and to place that in jeopardy would be absurd. So Schlichter didn't like that response, and of course, Schlichter came back, fired back with his own letter. So he said he is making plans to organize his old Philadelphia Giants, and he will be bringing on men like John Henry Lloyd, Bill Francis, Dick Redding, and others to play under a manager named was Walter Buck Johnson in Derby, opposite the Hilldale Park. So I'll keep you up on that fight. I would tell you, Bowden ended up winning for a certain period of time, and of course, then times got rough on him, and then he had to end up pardoning, and there was a lot more to this story, but at this particular time, they're having quite the battle. So somebody said, I read that Saber helped get Phil Cockrell from Hilldale. Saber. Oh, Headstone. Okay, well that's good. Phil Cockrell. He was a great player. He was on that famous Hilldale team. But spitball pitcher. I always like talking about these spitball pitchers because there were a number of them in the Negro leagues that were kind of holdovers. The Negro League, they weren't as famous for their spitball pitchers, even though there was a guy like Dick Johnson. Doc Sykes was a spitball pitcher. Of course, Phil Cockrell was. And so, but most of the guys in the Negro Leagues were known to cut the ball. Cut the ball. They cut the ball a lot. So that is just a little bit of this midday madness, guys, that I'm coming home with. And so we have a lot of fun here with this particular page. And I do thank you for joining. There's somebody, now, let's see, I guess that's John. Um, John, have you joined me before? And you're the one who answered the question about Phil Cockrell. Are you a subscriber? Have you followed me before? I'm just curious. Let's see. If you are, just hit some hearts. That I can know. If you can hit some hearts, if you're still in here, because I know sometimes people come in. If you can spend 5 minutes with me, you've got a lot, right? But most people bounce in and out, and I do the same thing when I'm listening to people. I stay as long as I can and go from there. Yeah, I normally watch at night. I'm normally not on. Hey, I understand that. I'm the same here. I just happened to be at home today because I needed to get some plumbing work, and so I came home to meet the plumber. So I'm just taking advantage of this time. But I will be back tonight. But normally, man, unless it's a Saturday or a Sunday, I might come on in the daytime, but never during the week. So I'm always busy. So anyway, I want to thank you all. And if you haven't subscribed or you're picking up this broadcast or you can share it, by all means do that. Once again, we're going for the Ichihiro number 780, and that's how many career RBIs he had, right? So, and then once we hit that number, then I'll teach you on another number, right? So we've passed several plateaus using numbers from big league players, right? So appreciate that. So I'm going to go out here and get something done. And so feel free to come back tonight if you hear me, and we'll go from there. And I'm just talking to a collector today, and we had a conversation about the Pete Hill signed contract. It wasn't his contract, once again. It was a ball player from New Orleans, but Pete Hill was the manager and George Spedding was the owner, and they both signed it. And that contract went for, I heard, over $100,000 here. Yesterday or day before yesterday, which is quite a feat, right? So I was just talking to some people on the telephone about that as I was driving home. So thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you back later on. I don't know what the temperature is or the weather is in your area, but Kansas City is going real well. So, and thank you for the Minneapolis Spokesman Recorder. Yeah. Up in Minneapolis, I don't know if that guy is still here. Are you still here? The guy from Minneapolis? If you are, send me a couple of hearts. Let me know if you're here. And I would tell you something about Minneapolis. Now, okay, so I guess he's not here now. So that's okay. So anyway, thank you guys. I appreciate it. And I will be back and we'll have another edition and some more facts about this day in Black baseball history. And I've got a guy coming up who tosses a no-hitter. I'll talk about that. And then let's see. Oh, 104th. Wow. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I'm going to log that number in here. Okay, so when I come back, I'm going to be talking about a guy by the name of Tom Alston, and I'm going to talk about Kirk Roberts, a guy named Elbert Williams, and we're going to talk about Bill Yancey also. All right, so I've got a few people I can talk about on this day, April 13th. I may even squeeze in a Jackie Robinson. Okay, so thank you guys. You have a nice day, and we'll see you real soon. Don't forget to subscribe. Talk to you later. Bye.